me to post.
We have a prop. I'm not sure
Love
we
it.
should.
Yes. I'm going to use it. Hello, everyone. We are back. We just finished our 1 p.m. kids program. It was so special. We had a live presentation. He is wrapping up right over there. We had some really, really, really special short films. It was really nice. So now I am joined by Mark and Ollie. We have Scriptwriters here. Hello, guys. How are you guys?
Hi, Chloe. Thank you so much for having us. Yeah,
Of
we're having a great time so
course.
far. The festival's been fantastic.
Amazing. Well, thanks
Yeah.
for coming out to UK
Yeah.
Valley. Where are you guys from originally?
Originally from the Bay Area, living in Riverside now.
Okay. And Ollie?
I'm from Orange County, but I'm in Boston this year, so cool.
Wow. I love that. And you guys are here because you have a script in competition. Is this like the poster? for the
Exactly.
script?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
There it
Sure, yeah.
Can I? Cancer. So tell us a little bit about this script. Is it short? Is it long?
It's a feature. It's feature length, and the film kind of boils down to kind of a surrealist, absurdist drama regarding an author going through writer's block, but finding kind of the world of him devolving, being assailed by unknown forces, and essentially becoming increasingly paranoid. The world increasingly making less and less sense. We told the story to kind of stand as a symbol of how we're both resident physicians in our daily lives, and we tried to tell a story that had nothing to do directly with the medical field, but stood as kind of a symbol for like the confusing and difficulty with navigating the medical environment. And so it's a story that's about writer's block, about navigating an unfamiliar world where things used to make sense and all of a sudden they don't. But it also tells the story of the dehumanizing impact of illness, and also the difficulty with navigating the confusing architecture of the medical environment.
I have so many questions. It's funny because we were joking around before. I'm like, I'm gonna do an interview. It's gonna be philosophical questions. It's gonna be really intense. I was like, I'm kidding. It'll be super light. And now I hear what it's about. I'm like, oh my god, that is so like deep. There's so much to unpack there. So you guys are both resident physicians. Is that how you guys met?
We met in medical school. We were living in Los Angeles at the time.
Yes, exactly.
And you both happen to also be writers?
So we basically started that when we met and got interested in this. That was years ago now. We continued that through medical school, and now, as we're residents in different parts of the country now, we're basically finishing up what we started. So.
Wow. So when you guys met, you hadn't gone into the field of like writing yet, and you both kind of like, hey, this interests me. This interests you.
Yeah,
First thing we wrote.
Yeah, but we wrote like a 5-minute sketch for a talent show at our med school.
Yeah.
And that was kind of how it started, and then we started ideas like, hey, what if we made something a little bit longer? So that's kind of how it started. But the rest, obviously, this was a big jump off from that.
Yeah, from a 5 minutes to like this. It's incredible that you guys just went straight for a full length. I mean, I guess the story you're trying to tell is so deep and there's so many layers. How was it working together? Because this is what you explained was so deep and so layered. How do you collaborate on that? How did the idea evolve? Did it start a little more simpler and it got more like, oh, why don't we add this? What about this? But what's the underlying like? How was that process working together?
For sure. I mean, there's a lot of complexity to trying to coordinate this work, but I think it was easy because it kind of came from, we were both starting out in the same place. We were starting out in kind of an unfamiliar environment. He had actually had a career change and had come into medical school from a different field, somewhat different field. And, I was just in a new environment too. So I think that was kind of the main character. It was kind of based off of like this person who's in this unfamiliar, like difficult to navigate environment. Then we started to, as we became doctors and now, studying, we were both in surgical specialties. It provides kind of like a different perspective on things. And from our perspective, like, I guess we could say not all patients are doctors, but all doctors are patients. So we're also like subject to the medical field ourselves, but we have a completely different perspective, which can sometimes be like kind of absurd when we see it from our perspective.
Yeah.
And I think our perspective going through medical education and becoming doctors is what informed this. So it was easy for us to communicate in that sense. We thought and felt most of the same thing for the most part.
Yeah, the uncertainty, the kind of fumbling around, especially when you're going through like the early stages of medical school, is something that we noticed both on both sides, doctor and patient, and that's something that we wanted to kind of bring to the story. The screenplay itself, we just kind of had a few images in our heads of stuff that we thought would look cool and like be good symbolism and things that we could explore, and then just slowly, piece by piece, just tried to turn it into a plot, like a beginning, middle, end that would actually tell a story.
Did you guys take like screenwriting classes, or?
I did. I took when I was living in the Bay Area, I took a screenwriting class and submitted a few projects for the class. But kind of put it on hold during medical school until we picked it up again.
Oh my God! Wow, what was some of the challenging parts in writing the script?
Where do we start?
I mean, obviously for us it was super new, so like just figuring out how to put ideas to paper, and like we've probably only really written like prose before this,
right?
Figuring out how ideas actually come out on paper, how like one page is 1 minute, like that kind of stuff was not
really like the technical stuff.
Exactly. Like that was probably the hardest thing for us. I think the ideas actually came relatively naturally because we felt and saw a lot of things going through our education, and it was like, well, we should write about this. This should be included. So obviously,
I think it was just kind of giving structure to those ideas was the real challenge. Like, how do you have loosely associated ideas and like bring them together in a somewhat coherent way?
I could see that, how the idea, because you guys are kind of pulling just from your own life, from your own experience. So that comes, even though it's so complex, it's something that you guys like lived through. So what sounds like would be the hard part is actually the easy part, and that the structuring of the actual making of a script. It's one of the conversations I had with one of the kids' story. She's a book writer, and it was the first time writing a script. And she was like, in a book, you describe everything. She's like, but in a script, it was like, you don't have to. So that challenge, like there is like a structure to writing a script. Did you guys use Final Draft for this?
We use Celtics for this because that's what I used in the script writing class too. Except they no longer have a desktop version. So
what are they?
Now it's all online. They don't have there's not a desktop version supported for now. It switched partway. So we switched to we're working on another screenplay now. We're using Arc Studio for that because they have student pricing, and as long as you have a .edu on your email, even as a resident, still counts as a student. So we've switched to that now. But it's been a fun process.
Yeah, have you guys gone through several versions of the script? Has it been evolving?
Kind of like we said, putting it to paper was kind of hard. It actually started out extremely long, and we had
what's extremely long?
I think 250 pages was what it was at initially,
long.
And and then
getting it to 180. I think it was very hard. We did most of that part. Bring it down. I don't envy that.
How do you choose?
It felt like it worked, but now thinking back, there were definitely some scenes where like we should probably find a way to sneak it back in.
For like storyline purposes.
Some scenes that kind of created mood that we probably would have liked to have, which could easily put back in.
Do you guys see yourself taking this script and breathing life? What's the next steps?
We would love to. We would love to. And honestly, this film festival has been a great opportunity to meet other experts in the field who have done just that. So that's that would definitely be our long-term goal. And also just getting feedback and seeing what the script looks like through the eyes of others would be very valuable as well.
Amazing. I think that's what's so inspiring with these film festivals. A lot of time, what I always get from the film festivals from people is, just do it. Everyone's like, just do it. And it's like, but how? And it's like, it's like, you guys, it's so inspiring, like you didn't like go full-time film school, you're medical school, which in and of itself is like so time consuming, but somehow you found time to, especially when you're collaborating with someone. Because one thing is like finding your own time. Another thing is like, how did you guys like, hey, should we work tomorrow between this time to this time? Like, how do you do that?
If you that's a great point. If you don't make time. There's no good time
Right.
to do things. So it's like we're either gonna do this now, or if we try to wait for like a better time to do this, it's probably not gonna come.
But would you
So
schedule it like it's in the calendar? We're meeting
we would
today.
guilt each other into like, hey, I have a 3 hours, so you need to create a 3 hour.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Going like, right. So it was just literally whenever we could do it. No, we didn't really schedule it.
How long did it take you from like inception to?
From inception to finishing the first way too long draft where we were putting literally everything on the paper before cutting it, took about 3-4 years. Yeah, 3-4 years, and then another couple years to revise it and whittle it down. And I remember telling Ali at some point when it was like that long, I'm like, well, if 2/3 of it is unusable, like even if we cut away 2/3, we still have something left. So
oh my God, yeah.
That's
a long time. But I'm glad you did it. I've told that to so many of the other, people that I've been interviewing. It's that when I ask like how long is it? It's like 4 years, 5 years, 3 years, and people don't realize a lot of times how much goes into writing a script, producing it, bringing it to life. So the fact that you guys reached the finish line and have something to show for your work, I think is amazing. What's your other? Is the other thing that you guys are working on in the similar field of pulling from your own?
It's exactly. It's we kind of see it as a spiritual successor to this. But it's more literally now. We started this as medical students. Now it's a little bit more about the resident experience. It's a little bit more literal about medicine and the experience of working as a resident and dealing with burnout, dealing with other residents who are also burnt out. So it's a little bit more literal about the medical field, but also bringing in some absurdist, fantastical elements in a slightly different way.
It actually takes place in a hospital.
It takes place in a
As opposed to this, which you don't have to. If you completely ignored every medical allegory and metaphor, it's kind of a movie in itself.
Okay.
You might even miss that metaphor in some context.
Yeah.
But it's basically that one is actually in a medical context.
Yeah, it's a little more literal about like our experiences and stuff. And but yeah, we're looking forward to that one too. It's also way too long at this point. So
where are you guys at?
I think we're at 190 pages now, and we're not done.
Okay, at the exposition of introducing the character.
Exactly.
Oh my God! And you guys, I mean, you describe a very specific style that you guys wrote. What inspired that? So did you know going into it that you wanted to do it in that kind of absurdist style, or?
Yeah. I mean, that's a great question. A lot of what we did when we first met was just like watch movies together and like I like this, I like that. And
interesting.
I think we drew a lot from a lot of David Cronenberg movies about the kind of the experience of just feeling uncomfortable with your own body and like bringing like having your mind and your body as part of the horror element of a movie, of just feeling illness in a way, feeling uncomfortable either with your physical state or your mental state. We kind of looked at like Videodrome, The Fly, things like that for inspiration, and then also some more kind of low budget indie things like Under the Silver Lake, La Ventura, which we watched together partly when we were making it, which is just kind of the sense of wandering and like not really knowing what you're looking for, and just like the wandering being part of the experience. So
you did your research.
Yeah.
You're like, what are we trying to make? Basically.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. Well, I'm so glad you guys, finished this. And, one thing is to make the script 250, having to cut that back it's a lot, but you guys, persisted and you're here. So thank you for coming to Yucca Valley Film Festival, sharing, your insights. It's always so inspiring from one filmmaker to the other to just hear your stories, and sometimes you just got to do it. So I love that you guys did it and are doing it, and I really hope you guys breathe life into the script and bring it to life so we can see it on the screen.
We would love to.
So thank you so much, guys. It was such a pleasure meeting you, and I'm sure I'll see you around for the rest of the day.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you, guys. All right. That was Mark and Ollie, and we were talking about their script, Cancer. It is a fascinating concept. We are going to be starting the student film portion shortly. I believe I have one more interview to go if we have time before this starts. So don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back. And we're back, and I am joined now by Rob York, scriptwriter. How are you, Rob? Thank you for joining us. So tell us about your script.
Well, first of all, it's been pretty exciting the last 2 months. The reason being is that Trickster's won 44 awards in the last 2 months in 10 countries.
44 awards in the last 2 months.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yes, it's been quite the ride.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Did you recently finish the script and started submitting it to festivals?
Yes. Yeah, just some editing and getting it going, and just, I hired editors, and so we decided to get on board with it and get it going. So it's been a little overwhelming, to say the least, but it's been a very fun ride. Everybody's having fun with it.
Is it a short or a feature?
It is a feature. It's 114 pages, which makes it 1 hour and 54 minutes.
1 hour and 54.
1 hour and 54 minutes.
Oh.
So it's actually based upon a true story.
Okay.
It's based on a true story of a wise old horse that narrates his extraordinary life.
Okay.
After a tragic accident, he finds the meaning of life through the eyes of a special needs girl.
Okay.
Very different concept.
Yes, but it's it's meant to be live action. It's not animation.
Yes. There's no animation. Thank you. Great question. Yes, it's not going to be a horse animated dialogue. It's horse voiceover dialogue.
Okay.
Similar to The Art of Racing in the Rain, the three movies. The Art of Racing in the Rain, Dog's Purpose, Dog's Journey. 3 very successful movies that inculcated the dog's perception. Of course, you have your supporting characters, which supports Enzo, for example, from The Art of Racing in the Rain. But Tricksters, what's happening is that he actually came from BLM land from New Mexico.
Okay.
And I have it scripted. He came from a 300 wild horse herd.
Okay.
And so it starts off like Forrest Gump on the bench, going back and forth.
Okay.
But with Tricksters, when it starts off with the script of the film, he's a wise old horse, just barely standing up, watching the sunrise coming up.
Okay.
And what it is that it's the reader and the watcher of the film will look at it from his perception, and he talks about his extraordinary life he's lived, and so he talks about the powerful memory of the horse, which teaches the audience. So as it starts out, he does flashbacks. He goes, I came from a place called New Mexico, blah 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 blah, 300 horse herd, and so he's a little stinker, in trouble all the time, and he's saying this goes up to starts off the first minute to the 21st minute and of his life. And so when you're reading the script, you're like, wow, I know where this is going, right? Yes, because in that he talks about growing up and just being a little horse, just getting into trouble. Then what happens is that he calls him the horse god, this alpha. And this teaches the audience what a real alpha horse does in a herd. And he calls him because he's big. And come to find out, there's another horse that challenges him later on. Then he finds out that is his father. So it's like a Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader moment. So he finds out, and he's like, wow, man. And then he discovers, what would be the next alpha? Wow, it's me. And then of course, the plot twist with the arc within the 21st minute is I have to throw in the people, because rustlers come up, wrestle the Russell horses, and so he gets captured. And so it's a very tragic moment, but I show the ugly side of the horse world. I have to do that because we need to teach the people of the world. And so he goes through this horrific moment with his father. He gets separated from his family, and he gets homesick. So what happens is that he gets rustled and he winds up in Cedar City, Utah. True story here. So he was a renegade horse at 4 years old. So he starts off as a baby horse, and then within the 21st minute, then he's 4 years old. Okay.
It's like a roller coaster.
Well, yes, it's a very
emotion.
It's going to be a lot of emotions, and I wanted to inculcate emotions in it as a human being, as we see it. And so after the 21st minute, and Ty Nitty is he's one of our horse trainers. He is the horse trainer out at the D6 Movie Ranch. You get us on Facebook, D6 Movie Horses, and he's one of the few horsemen in the world that has mastered all 3 disciplines. He's a master horseman in Spanish, English, and Western. So he's a phenomenal trainer. So what happens is that, based on a true story here, I had to write this in, is that Trickster was going to put a stock trailer making all kinds of ruckus, and all the horses were trying to get away from him because he was depressed, he was angry, and so Ty rushes out to see what the commotion is, and they stop, and his right eye goes through the rail where they connect eyes, and calm down, and then they drive off. I had it right there.
Wow.
And then what happens at the horse auction is that he gets rambunctious, he gets out of control, people can't control him, and so Ty has to intervene, and he calms him down. And so what happens is he winds up buying him for $400, which he did because nobody wanted to touch him. So a true master horseman will look at a horse like that and make him a Ferrari. So now, the 21st to the 91st minute, now we inculcate Ty's teachings to the world. And we get out of the old cowboy way of not hurting the horse. Breaking is a term that we use in the horse world for breaking wild horses to get them tamed. But it's a very controversial word because they call it breaking the spirit of the horse. We don't want to break the spirit of the horse. We want to capitalize on it because he'll walk on the water.
Yeah.
So within that 91st minute, or the 21st to the 91st minute, what happens is that coming from Trickster's perception, right? He calls people two-leggeds. These two-leggeds are strange. I don't know what to think about these two-leggeds, right? And Ty's like he sees what he's made of in the round pen, and he finds out he's a renegade horse, meaning that he like attacks people. But the thing is that in his Trickster's mind, he's just having fun. It's a game. So one day, Ty brings out a saddle, throws it on the round pin. And Trickster's like, and then one day, that strange two-legged he brought out, and he walks over, smells the saddle, and his nostrils flare. He's like, he brought out a dead carcass, because for a horse, a saddle is a dead carcass because it's leather. Very strange. You have to meet the horse on the level where they're coming from.
Right.
And then he snaps his head and he looks at Ty and he's like, why would a two-legged bring out dead carcass? These two-legged sure are strange. So that's the way it starts off. And so within the 21st, 91st minute, he becomes a master horse in Spanish, English, and Western. True story.
Wow.
So he's one of the few horses in the world that's actually done this. So how could I not write this in a script? So what happens is that so he goes to leather dressage, and in English, right? He calls it. Then I brought out a different carcass. Then I started doing. I never thought that I could run across this world so elegantly. Blah blah blah. So it shows action lines and then he, of course, Western everything in Western that he does, and then we go to Spanish. And he goes, man, he brought out another carcass. And so actually Trickster did do what we call the Spanish piaffe, and the croupade and the cabriolet. And so the piaffe is where they dance.
Yeah.
Okay, where they dance, right? Yeah. Where they dance. And so what happens, it's just like with Forrest Gump running, right? Same analogy here. He starts talking about, wow, I could run, I could dance here, and I got so good at it, I could dance in my sleep. So we build it up. So we got the tragic arc from 1 minute to 21st minutes. It goes, and then after that, it climaxes. The second tragic arc climaxes. So all the way to the 91st minute, because you build them up. And then a tragic accident happens because, based on a true story, within the 21st, 91st minute, Trickster saved Ty's life twice. One from a wild boar and one from a PBR bull that almost killed Trickster. True story. And so we inculcated that into the writings on it. So now we have a tragic arc in the 91st page, 91st minute. Then what happens is that this crippled horse now It's very sad. It's
Oh my
very
God.
very humbling.
You're taking me on a roller coaster of emotions, and I haven't even read the script.
So what happens is here's where the real teachings come into people. Now they're taught that people that read the script or will watch the film like, wow, now what is this poor horse going to do? But Ty finds a second calling working with autism children because he's a very aggressive horse, depending on the cowboy that gets on him. But when it comes to children, it's very docile, and a good horse will do that. Now, he had a healing horse program with special needs children. I'm actually a former special needs back rider for special needs children. So we understand it. And when I understand the concept of how they heal veterans, people with PTSD, trauma, and so special needs children. So what happens is that there's a little girl, her fictitious name is Kimberly. She has severe Asperger's syndrome. As she gets on Trickster, they have this connection. And so a horse clearly could see through a person. They know everything about you when you get on and you touch them. A horse is the most sensitive creature on the planet. Wow. And they'll know everything about you. So the horse, what they'll do is they'll sense that child and they'll see through the eyes of that child. And so we've seen miracles. We've had the toughest vaquero cowboys cry because what they do. And so what happens is that they have a big bond, and she starts talking. So and then she grows up from 4. She meets Trickster at 4. She starts talking all the way up to 12. So we bump it from regular Trickster with his age, because he's getting older now. So he's an old Trickster. And so she actually takes over the special needs program, but she's a little pistol. She's a little fireball now. And then during that time, going from the 91st minute to the 112th minute, right near the end of the film, it really climaxes now.
Okay.
Really climaxes. Ty's father is having issues, becoming an alcoholic, and he calls it stench water because the horse can smell you when you're drinking. And so the boy, when Ty got on that stench water, I knew things were going to be happening. Man, we don't know. I didn't know what was going to happen. They call it stench water throughout the whole film. Right, so it teaches children drinking's bad. So it's a beautiful family. Will be a beautiful family film. So it goes all the way through to the 12th minute, and then can't really talk what happens at the end because that's a very big twist plot. So from the beginning, first page 1 to 21st, then arc, and then 21st to 91, and 91 to 112.
No, I can see why it's doing so good in your festival circuit.
Thank you.
And did you use Final Cut Records? Did you use another software? What software do you usually use?
I use Art Studios.
Art Studios.
Yes, because I was playing tomorrow the script roundtable with SACD. I call it SACD, my own terminology. Scene headings, action lines, character.
Okay.
Right, and then what it is that you see mental photography. Is mental photography. What you do is with your SACD, you write it down. You write it down on your laptop. You see it. You get emotional. You get emotionally triggered for happiness when you cry. You cry when you read it. So when I'm crying with tears of joy, I know that it's triggered.
Yeah.
So when I go back to that page, when I open up the laptop and read it, you get triggered. And it's like starting at the car motor.
Yeah.
And when you put it in drive, you complete the pages. I don't understand why there's such thing right. Because you get emotionally attached, emotionally inculcated with the script. It becomes a lot. You can see the mental.
No, totally. I'm so excited that we're having this scriptwriter roundtable tomorrow because I feel like you have so much insight to share. So thank you so much for taking the time to sit with me to tell me about your story, and I can't wait to see it come to life. And now I'm gonna be thinking all day of like, how does it end? Thank you so much, Rob. It was a pleasure. I'm gonna see you around. Amazing. All right, guys. Well, they are starting the student films vlog, as you can see there. So I am going to tune off, and I'm going to be back.
presenting the film. If you
Yes,
join
they're
me
about to
on
go
stage,
up
so you
on
can see the film
stage.
quickly.
I'm gonna be back at 3:30 after the student films blog to talk a bit more with these filmmakers. We're gonna be streaming on Facebook, on YouTube. This is a free admission festival, so if you guys are around, by all means, stop on by, and then we'll see you guys in a little bit. They're getting started. We're just gonna give you a little peek. Yay!
Great. You
All right,
can
guys.
your name,
I'll see you
the
later.
film, where you're from, and briefly what